FPV drones destroyed and neutralized Russian vehicles one by one in the direction of Pokrovsky. These vehicles were on their way to provide supplies and equipment to Russian troops. There were many armed soldiers inside the vehicles. Russian forces arrived in an armored vehicle to retrieve a stuck BTR, but Ukrainian FPV operators hit them with a drone. First, the armored vehicle caught fire, then the blaze spread to the BTR, leading to an explosion. Everything burned down. The Russian vehicle, which wanted to advance towards Ukrainian positions, was attacked while continuing on its way after dropping off the soldiers. Although the soldiers got out of the vehicle and tried to hide in forested areas and shelters, they could not escape the drone attack. Drones can attack day and night, because drones have night vision and heat-sensitive cameras. In this way, it can easily see its target and carry out an accurate attack. Hiding in ruined houses does not seem enough to escape drones. Even if you are in an armored vehicle or tank, you may suddenly be attacked by a drone. If the drone is able to attack the engine part of the vehicle, it can cause considerable damage and completely destroy the vehicle. Defenders successfully repelled a massive enemy attack on the position of the 10th OGS HBR. The enemy used 22 units of armored vehicles, 7 tanks, 13 BMP, 2 MTLB, and about 120 occupiers for assault operations. As a result of battle, 6 tanks and 9 BMPs were destroyed. The enemy suffered losses in manpower. 19 were eliminated, 23 were wounded. In the direction of Kramatorsk, Ukrainian drone operators launched a FPV drone attack on a Russian armored vehicle and destroyed it. They also dropped bombs from the air. The moving vehicle was attacked by a drone and had to pull over to the side of the road. It was then completely destroyed as a result of the bombs dropped one after the other. Ukrainian aviation is striking Russian forces in the Kursk region with precision-guided JDAM bombs, targeting buildings housing Russian personnel. During recent assault operations, the Russians used a lightly armored communication vehicle that also served as a repeater as it was thought, our scouts found, and FPV destroyed the field communication point. The skills of Ukrainian soldiers leave no chance for the Russian invaders. Tanks are blown up by mines and FPV drones. Ukrainian forces, using FPV drones and artillery, are repelling a massive Russian assault near the village of Plekova in the Kursk region. Almost all vehicles and crew of the Russian convoy are destroyed. These expensive Russian vehicles were destroyed by seemingly simple but very effective FPV drones. Of course, Ukraine does not only carry out drone attacks, but FPV drones are a low-cost, very fast, and very effective weapon. It is almost impossible for soldiers to escape by running or hiding. The liquidation of Russian BMP and an armored personnel carrier on the Zaporizhzhia front. What do you think about the place of FPV drones in modern warfare? Ukrainian military repelled a Russian attack near the village of Krinky in the Kherson region using FPV drones. In this attack, a large Russian convoy was forced to retreat and half of it was destroyed. FPV drones are of great help to the Army as always. Would you like to be an FPV drone pilot, or have you ever used a drone before?
Где целый? Поехали, поехали! Капонир, капонир! Давай, давай, давай!
Власне підтвердження нашого коригування. Ось цей тігр.
Two Russian soldiers got inside the damaged BMP to hide from the FPV drone, but they did not know that it is impossible to escape from the FPV drone. And finally, it happened. A drone attack on a gas station in the Zaporizhzhia region. A huge flame rose into the sky as gasoline and diesel tanks exploded. This station was supplying gasoline to Russian vehicles and crews. Heavy, unmanned aerial vehicle Vampire of border guards of the Kramatorsk detachment brought warmth to the occupiers in the Vovchan direction at night. The moving motorcyclist and the tank were blown up by FPV drones. An armored vehicle hidden among the trees was also blown up. The old mobile service station was neutralized by drones immediately after detection. Ukrainian defenders defeat invaders in Luhansk. During the joint reconnaissance of the border guards and anti-tank officers' UAVs, the location of the enemy motor rifle unit was determined. Air intelligence transmitted the coordinates instantly.
Хлопці, з поверненням! Слава Україні! Героям слава! Слава Україні! Героям слава! Слава Україні! Героям слава!
In the direction of Toretsk, tanks of the 12th Azov Brigade attacked Russian positions. In areas where artillery fire is difficult and drones are difficult to attack, the tanks maneuvered well and launched powerful attacks. The Azov Brigade has played an important role in the conflict in eastern Ukraine and has attracted international attention, both for its military achievements and ideological debates. It was established in 2014 as a volunteer militia to fight against pro-Russian separatists and was later incorporated into the National Guard of Ukraine. The 46th OAEMBR continues to repulse large-scale enemy mechanized assaults in the Kharkiv direction. Destroyed, damaged by FPV drones, 7 BMP, and 3 tanks. The infantry was eliminated by drops from the thermal imaging MAVICs. These professional Ukrainian FPV drone pilots completely destroyed Russian vehicles, 7 passenger cars, 1 truck, ATV, a few Katsapov, 2 armored vehicles, a PC and tank, 5 more passenger cars, and many more vehicles and their ammunition were blown up or neutralized. We left 2024 behind and entered 2025. How much do you think these FPV drones have changed the course of the war? Is it fair that 500 FPV drones blow up million-dollar vehicles and tanks? In this video, a tank, 4 cannons, 4 vehicles, 5 120mm mortars, 1 motorcycle, and 1 dozen soldiers were neutralized. Kramatorsk direction. Javelin in the area of Seledovo liquidates the Russian tank T-72B3M. How resistant do you think Russian tanks are to incoming attacks? Is it normal for them to explode with every missile or drone attack? Write in the comments. The Russians deployed around 50 pieces of equipment for a massive assault in the Kursk region. The enemy attacks came in 6 waves, involving tanks, BMP-2s, BTRs, BMDs, buggies, and Lancet strike drones. The soldiers of the 47th Mechanized Brigade, together with adjacent units, repelled the assault, destroying enemy equipment worth tens of millions of dollars. Three rolls of equipment have been repulsed. For the assault in 3 rounds, the invaders attracted tanks, armored personnel carriers, infantry fighting vehicles, and MTLB. Units of the 3rd assault immediately hit the column with drones and disabled some of the armored vehicles. The surviving tank that tried to break through was caught up with the FPV. 2 more tanks and a better hit stopped traffic, and on the move finished off those who wanted to escape. Numerical equipment was dismantled only by drones. Attacks were successfully repelled. Fighters Fatum from the anti-tank, Primus from the 1st assault, fighters of the 2nd assault, Revenge Group from the 1st Mechanized Battalion, and our BBS continue to destroy the enemy on Kharkiv region. The downed 41 scouts are the result of only one division of Erebus Group 82 OJB. Some defeats were published earlier. A kamikaze drone strikes a Russian 96 L6CP radar of the S-400 Triumph system in the Belgorod region. The 13th Brigade of the National Guard of Ukraine, Kartia, halted a Russian column by destroying a tank, airborne forces, and equipment with anti-tank mines and drones. They even took out a Russian drone operator's command post. One Russian BMP was completely destroyed, as always, with only one FPV drone. It is possible to destroy these vehicles, which cost thousands or even millions of dollars, with cheap drones. An effective operation was carried out with FPV drones against Russian vehicles that went to help the soldiers in the region with heavily armored vehicles. An armored vehicle hidden among the trees and moving vehicles were neutralized with precision strikes. Destruction of a rare ATGM Sturm SM based on the MTLB unit of the 72nd Separate Mechanized Brigade, using FPV drone effectively and efficiently struck the vehicle, completely destroying it. Destruction of an enemy pontoon crossing by operators of the 412th Separate Battalion of Unmanned Systems, Nemesis, in Luhansk region. A Russian vehicle was destroyed by a Ukrainian FPV drone. After the Russian infantry fighting vehicle was spotted by Ukrainian paratroopers, it was immediately attacked in quick succession. The Russian vehicle, which then tried to hide in the bushes, was rendered unusable as a result of repeated drone strikes. US APC and Russian BMP vehicles were neutralized from these attacks. FPV drones have blown up and disabled several trucks carrying personnel and food. In addition, FPV drones hit radars and antennas, damaging Russian communications. Moreover, the drones also hit a tractor used in the construction of fortifications. Buk M, 2 air defense system destroyed. Soldiers of the 77th Separate Airmobile Brigade burned the target. First, the long drone was hit by an air defense system. Then it was finished off with a thick FPV. A Russian tank opened fire on the other side. However, he was unaware that there were Ukrainian soldiers lying in wait to shoot him. Waiting for the right moment, the Ukrainian soldier launched the missile and blew up the Russian tank. When the other Russian tank saw his friend blown up, he immediately started running backwards. Do you think he was successful? This morning, the Russians tried to break through the positions of the 15th Karadag Brigade south of Selidovo. All the equipment was destroyed. The infantry was eliminated. There is replenishment of the exchange fund. If any of the Russian tanks and any of the Ukrainian tanks face to face, which tank would win? To support our channel, you can click the join button or send a super donation. Pilots of FPV drones of a separate squad, Wings of Omega, destroyed the enemy's T-72 tank. Do you think Putin can develop a new technology to protect his tanks? How can Russia protect its tanks from FPV drones? Write your thoughts about the video. Artillery brigade units attacked Russian positions in the Volchansky direction. Here's what was destroyed: shelters, trench lines, observation posts, mortars, machine guns, and grenade launchers. 33 people were wounded. 12 soldiers were killed. A BTR-82, a tank, was completely destroyed after several drone strikes. Rusores are ready to fight. Russians are storming our positions every day. The company of the 79th Air Assault Brigade of the Perun Group, together with other comrades, is giving a worthy rebuff to the invaders. In the direction of Sumy, FPV drones destroyed Russian shelters and equipment. Ukrainian FPV drone units continue to target and destroy Russian vehicles loaded with ammunition and supplies. Ukrainian paratroopers carried out a drone attack on a vehicle in the direction of Kharkiv. The infantrymen in the vehicle drove away, entering a densely forested area. A second drone attack was carried out on the vehicle left by the infantrymen, and the vehicle was destroyed. A drone operator who noticed a Russian vehicle abandoned on the road but in working condition attacked and destroyed it. Ukrainian FPV drones attack Russian vehicles after a long pursuit. Epic detonation of Russian self-propelled gun ammunition due to an FPV drone strike. Undoubtedly, the most powerful tools of the new modern war are FPV drones. Because if you destroy one FPV drone, thousands more will follow. It is almost impossible for a person to escape from FPV drones. What do you think about FPV drones? Do you think tanks or drones are stronger? The mechanic of the Russian armored vehicle, retreating from the battlefield, faces his own friendly armored personnel carrier. After the collision and stops, both cars turn out to be a light target for Ukrainian kamikaze drones. In the Kursk region, drones of the 47th Mechanized Brigade are destroying all tanks, armored personnel carriers, motorcycles, and cars in their path. It takes a lot of skill to hit moving vehicles with pinpoint accuracy. These very small FPV drones are very fast and highly maneuverable. He blew up the BMP with a precision strike in the Kharkiv region. The 65th Separate Motorized Infantry Brigade's SUV was attacked immediately after being spotted by Ukrainian paratroopers. As a result of the drone attack, 2 Russian infantrymen got out of the damaged vehicle and ran into the woods to hide. They then tried to hide in the ruined bunker, but a second drone attack took place. Another defeat of a Russian helicopter using a FPV drone. Soldiers of the M2 unit of the Special Operations Center of the SBU, working in the Kursk region of Russia, were able to hit another Russian helicopter with a FPV drone. This time, the Mi-8 was hit in the tail by a drone with a powerful fragmentation warhead. The further fate of the Mi-8 is unknown, but it stopped operating in the area. A high-explosive projectile hits an enemy BMD. Another great video from FPV Strike Drone Company. Plus one burned equipment to loss statistics. Soldiers of the 47th Mechanized Brigade continue to hunt for the enemy. Soldiers of the demolition team in the Kursk region destroyed the following: a gun, a motorcycle, a cannon, a moving tank crashed, and many more. Drones and tanks of the 12th Brigade Azov are dismantling the occupiers, repelling a mechanized assault. Russian assault group launched an attack on the positions of the defense forces in the Toretsk direction. For the attack, the enemy used several units of armored vehicles, including BMPs and MTLBs. Operators of the strike drones from the 12th Special Purpose Azov Brigade began targeting enemy units as they approached the defenders' positions. The combat crew of the Azov Tank Battalion also joined in. The enemy continues its attempts to advance in the Toretsk direction. The Azov forces are doing everything they can to hold off the enemy and destroy as many targets as possible. M142 HIMARS hits Russian 39H6, Kosta 2E2 radar station in Donetsk region. Spectacular footage of the defeat of the Russian BTR-82A by a strike from the Javelin ATGM in the Donetsk region. Detonation of the ammunition of a Russian Grad after being hit by an artillery strike in the Pokrovsk direction. Soldiers from the 30th Separate Mechanized Brigade managed to destroy a Russian tank for the first time using a Dragon drone spewing a burning thermite mixture 65 kilometers north of Pokrovsk. These night flashes were created with the help of Russian BM-21 Grad, a tank and an infantry fighting vehicle, which were blown up by fighters of the 68th Separate Hunter Brigade. For this moped rider in the Kursk region, this trip was the last. Your drone was effectively used by soldiers of the 3rd DSHB of the 80th Galician Brigade. The Russian assault group in the Kursk region was routed thanks to a precise hit from a Javelin crew of the 36th Separate Marine Brigade. In the direction of Kurakov, Russian soldiers hid in a building. A soldier looking out of the window was attacked by an FPV drone. In modern warfare, you can be attacked by a drone at any moment, so you have to be much more careful. Eastern Front. Border aerial reconnaissance identifies enemy positions and corrects artillery fire. As a result, minus the Russian tank and ammunition explosion. As I always say, if God does not help you, it is almost impossible to escape from FPV drones. Do you think the soldier was saved? An FPV drone hit an enemy train that was detected by aerial reconnaissance, Kharkiv region. Masters of the Special Unit Wings of the Department of Active Operations of the Military District of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine discovered and destroyed a Russian artillery position in the Zaporizhia region. To eliminate the enemy target, the scouts used 2 Darts kamikaze aircraft with 3-kilogram combined ammunition and 3 Babai heavy FPVs with 1.5-kilogram cumulative shots. In the northern direction, Ukrainian border guards destroyed a Russian infantry fighting vehicle. The drone operator entered the vehicle with the door open and ensured that the vehicle was destroyed by fire. As Russian tanks and armored vehicles advanced in columns, they were shaken by artillery shelling from the 47th Mechanized Brigade. Communicating with drones, the 47th Artillery attacked Russian armored vehicles with 122mm howitzers and mortars. The armored vehicle, which panicked during the attack, went off the road and turned over. The drones provided accurate calculations and information, which enabled the artillery to strike with pinpoint accuracy. The Russian troops were dispersed and repulsed. Destruction of another enemy armored column during an attempt to storm the settlement of Zinkivska, Kupiansky direction. Coordinated work of soldiers from the 14th Separate Mechanized Brigade and the 30th Separate Mechanized Brigade. We spend a lot of time preparing these videos and sound effects. If you like our videos, please do not forget to subscribe and comment on the videos. We do everything to prepare better quality content for you. Don't spare your support. The fate of an enemy tank in 3 acts. 1. Come to the Donetsk region. 2. Interest border air reconnaissance. 3. Become a scrap metal. Russia launched a massive offensive in Kharkiv Oblast, OTU Kharkiv. 42 OMBR was ready for this and repels the enemy's assault. Bu Hafta. Russian losses at least: 13 dead soldier, 27 injured occupiers, 2 units T-62 tanks were destroyed, 2 units T-62 tanks were damaged, 2 units BMP-3 destroyed, One armored personnel carrier damaged. In the Kharkiv region, several soldiers trying to hide in a damaged building were spotted by FPV drones, and the building was blown up in a drone attack. Soldiers were injured. The pickup truck used by the soldiers was neutralized. Ukrainian tank crews from the 17th Heavy Mechanized Brigade are attacking Russian infantry in the Kursk region. While a Russian vehicle was driving alone, as always, it was caught on the radar of Ukrainian FPV drone pilots, and they started FPV drone attacks one after the other without stopping. Maybe he thought he could hide in the woods, but he still couldn't escape the attack. As I always say, it is almost impossible to escape from FPV drones wherever you go. The attack on the Russian vehicle one afternoon. The drone hit the vehicle right in the engine and it was completely destroyed. There is no information about the crew yet. The Russian counter-battery radar Zu-1 meter was again destroyed. It is a counter-battery radar system developed by Almaz-Antey for the Soviet Armed Forces. It is a mobile, active, electronically scanned array radar for the acquisition of enemy field artillery. Ukrainian FPV drone paratroopers carried out a well-calculated attack on bunkers and warehouses. Even though the drones did not penetrate the bunker, they terrorized the people inside. The bunkers contain infantry and various military equipment. Since the explosives on the drones are not enough to blow up the bunkers, they cannot completely destroy the bunkers. In the Kursk region, Ukrainian drones are burning Russian ammunition, supplies, and various military equipment in forested areas. This fire-breathing drone is used to destroy anything hidden in the woods. What do you think about the direction drones are taking the war in general? Let's watch how a small drone burns an armored vehicle with a small explosion. Another Russian armored vehicle was destroyed in the Kursk region. What do you think about a few $100 FPV drones blowing up million-dollar tanks? The Russian 203mm self-propelled gun Pion and its TZM were successfully deployed as a result of the defeat of 30 DPICM cluster missiles from the Rs 3 billion HIMARS. T-90 cooks off after taking a blast from a drone. The building where the troops were hiding in the direction of Zaporozhye was destroyed. The Russians are training to evade FPV. Drones continue to fly day and night. They are always ready to attack their enemies. A Ukrainian Air Force MiG-29 strikes a multi-story building housing Russian Armed Forces personnel in the settlement of Korobki, Kherson region, using an AASM-250 Hammer bomb.